Welcome back, thanks for tuning into our channel. Where are you watching from? Drop in a comment, subscribe, thanks. Let's dive in. My head snapped to the side. A wave of dizziness washed over me, not just from the physical impact, but from the sheer, unbelievable audacity of the act. My mother slapping me at my engagement party. In front of everyone. The world seemed to slow down, the joyous chatter of the crowd fading to a muffled hum. My fiancé, David, his face contorted with shock and anger, was instantly by my side, his hand gently touching my cheek. Grace. Are you okay? What the hell was that, Margaret? David's voice was tight, controlled fury barely contained. My mother, Margaret, stood frozen, her hand still slightly outstretched, her face a mask of fury and something else. Something I couldn't quite decipher. Guilt. Perhaps. But it was quickly overshadowed by a renewed wave of righteous indignation. She deserved it, my mother spat, her voice trembling. After everything we've done for her, after all the sacrifices we've made, she's being selfish and cruel. The she was, of course, me. Grace. And the selfish and cruel act I had apparently committed was refusing to hand over my entire wedding fund, $45,000 I had meticulously saved over years of hard work, to my younger sister, Emily. Let me rewind a bit. My name is Grace Carter. I'm 28 years old. I work as a software engineer, a career I poured my heart and soul into after graduating from MIT. I'm logical, pragmatic, and generally a calm and collected person. David, my fiancé, is everything I'm not: a passionate, artistically inclined musician. He's warm, funny, and unbelievably supportive. We balance each other perfectly. We met at a small jazz club where David was playing with his band. From the moment I heard the soulful melodies pouring from his saxophone, I was captivated. Our connection was instant, a spark that ignited into a roaring flame of love. After 2 years of dating, David proposed on a secluded beach under a blanket of stars. It was perfect, intimate, and everything I had ever dreamed of. We spent the following weeks excitedly planning our future, envisioning a beautiful but not extravagant wedding. We decided on a charming vineyard in Napa Valley, a place where we could celebrate our love with close family and friends. We set a budget of around $50,000, figuring that $45,000 from my savings and a small loan from my parents would cover the costs. That's where the trouble began. A few weeks after the engagement, my younger sister, Emily, who is a struggling actress with a penchant for drama, announced that she had landed the opportunity of a lifetime. A small, independent film was being shot in Prague, and they wanted her to be the lead. The only problem? The film required a significant financial investment from the actors, ostensibly to cover production costs and marketing. Emily needed $40,000. Now, I'm not naive. I know that these kinds of opportunities are often thinly veiled scams preying on vulnerable artists desperate to make their big break. I voiced my concerns to Emily, suggesting she do some thorough research and consult with a lawyer before handing over any money. Her response was dismissive. Grace, you just don't understand. This is my dream. This is my chance. You're just jealous because you're stuck in some boring, soul-crushing job while I'm out here pursuing my passion. The conversation escalated, ending with Emily storming out of my apartment, tears streaming down her face. She ran straight to my mother, of course. My mother, bless her heart, has always had a soft spot for Emily. She sees her as the artistic one, the free spirit who needs nurturing and support. I, on the other hand, am the responsible one, the stable, successful daughter who can take care of herself. The next day, my mother called me, her voice laced with a carefully constructed blend of guilt and manipulation. She started by praising my success, reminding me of how proud she and my father were of me. Then, she subtly shifted the conversation to Emily, painting a picture of a struggling artist on the verge of a breakthrough, desperately in need of my help. Grace, darling, you know how much this means to Emily, she said, her voice dripping with concern. This could be her big break. Think of it, darling, finally realizing her dreams. And you have such a successful career, you can always save more for your wedding. The wedding can wait. Emily's future can't. I felt my blood simmer. Mom, I'm happy to help Emily in any way I can, but giving her my entire wedding fund is out of the question. I've been saving for years. Besides, I don't think this film opportunity is legitimate. It sounds like a scam. My mother's tone changed instantly. The sugary sweetness vanished, replaced by a hard, exasperated edge. Grace, you're being incredibly selfish. Emily needs this. You have so much, and she has so little. Are you really going to let her dream die because you want a fancy wedding? I tried to explain my perspective, to reason with her, but it was like talking to a brick wall. She kept repeating the same arguments, the same guilt trips, until I finally snapped. Mom, this is my decision. It's my money. I'm getting married, and I want to have a wedding. Why is it always about what Emily wants? What about what I want? The conversation ended abruptly with my mother hanging up on me. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. This topic was brought up multiple times leading up to the engagement party by both Emily and my mother. Then came the engagement party. Everything was perfect. The venue was stunning, the flowers were exquisite, and I was surrounded by the people I loved most in the world. David looked impossibly handsome in his tailored suit, and I felt like the luckiest woman alive. During a lull in the festivities, my mother cornered me. She asked again, one last time, if I would reconsider sharing my wedding fund with Emily. I politely but firmly declined. I could see the anger building in her eyes. Grace, I'm warning you, she hissed, her voice low and menacing. You're making a huge mistake. You'll regret this for the rest of your life. I brushed her off, assuming she was just venting her frustration. I was wrong. A few minutes later, as David and I were standing together, basking in the glow of our engagement, my mother strode purposefully towards us, her face set in a grim line. Grace, I can't believe you're being so stubborn, she said, her voice loud enough to draw the attention of several nearby guests. Your sister needs this money. It's her future. I felt a wave of embarrassment wash over me. This was not the time or the place for this conversation. Mom, please, can we talk about this later? I pleaded, my voice trembling. No, we're talking about it now. Everyone needs to know what a selfish, ungrateful daughter you are, she shrieked, her voice rising in pitch. And that's when it happened. The slap. The shattering glass. The stunned silence. Back to the present. David was still holding my hand, his eyes blazing with anger. He turned to my mother. Margaret, that was completely unacceptable. You have no right to assault Grace like that. You need to apologize right now. My mother glared at him, her chest heaving. I will not apologize. She deserves it. She's ruining her sister's life. The argument escalated quickly, drawing the attention of more guests. Soon, a crowd had gathered around us, their faces a mixture of shock, confusion, and morbid curiosity. My father, usually a calm and passive man, stepped forward, his face etched with worry. Margaret, stop it. You're making a scene. Let's go home. But my mother was beyond reason. She continued to rant and rave, accusing me of being selfish, ungrateful, and a bad sister. I stood there, frozen, tears streaming down my face. I can't believe you would do this to me, I whispered, my voice barely audible. At my engagement party. In front of everyone. My mother's rage seemed to falter for a moment, a flicker of remorse crossing her face. But it was fleeting. She quickly regained her composure, her eyes hardening once more. You brought this on yourself, she said, her voice cold and unforgiving. You should have just given Emily the money. That was the final straw. I couldn't take it any more. Get out, I said, my voice trembling but firm. Get out and don't ever come back. My mother looked at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. "You can't be serious," she said. "I'm your mother. And you just slapped me in front of everyone at my engagement party because I won't give my sister my money. So yes, I am serious. Get out," I repeated, each word laced with ice. My father gently took my mother's arm, leading her away. She continued to shout insults and accusations as they left, her voice echoing through the ballroom. The silence that followed was deafening. I stood there, shaking, surrounded by the wreckage of my perfect evening. David held me close, his arms a comforting weight around me. "I'm so sorry, Grace," he whispered. "I can't believe she did that. I don't understand why she did that either." I sobbed, burying my face in his chest. Why is she always on Emily's side? Why can't she be happy for me? David held me tighter. "It's okay, Grace. It's not your fault. Your mother is being unreasonable. It is your money. Your wedding." He led me away from the crowd, towards a quiet corner of the ballroom. We sat there in silence for a long time, just holding each other. Finally, I pulled away, wiping the tears from my eyes. "I can't stay here," I said. "I need to get out of here." David nodded in agreement. "Let's go. I'll take you home." We said our goodbyes to our bewildered guests, offering mumbled apologies and vague explanations. As we walked out of the ballroom, I couldn't help but feel a sense of shame and humiliation. My engagement party, which should have been a celebration of love and happiness, had been ruined by my mother's selfish and destructive behavior. The car ride home was silent. I stared out the window, watching the city lights blur past. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what had just happened. When we arrived at my apartment, David walked me to the door. He kissed me gently on the forehead. "I'll stay with you tonight," he said. "You shouldn't be alone." I nodded gratefully. I couldn't imagine facing this alone. We spent the evening talking, trying to process the events of the night. David was incredibly supportive, offering words of comfort and encouragement. He reminded me that my mother's actions were not a reflection of my worth, and that I shouldn't let her negativity ruin my happiness. "You're an amazing person, Grace," he said, his eyes filled with love. "You're kind, generous, and incredibly strong. Don't let your mother's craziness get to you." His words helped, but I still felt a deep sense of hurt and betrayal. I couldn't understand why my mother would do something so cruel and damaging. Had she ever been happy for me? Or had I just been an investment? As the night wore on, I started to feel a sense of anger bubbling up inside me. I was tired of being the responsible one, the one who always put everyone else's needs before her own. I was tired of being taken for granted. "I'm not going to let her ruin my wedding," I said, my voice firm. "I'm going to have the wedding I've always dreamed of, and I'm not going to let my mother's drama stop me." David smiled. "That's the spirit. I'm with you all the way." The next morning, I woke up with a renewed sense of determination. I decided to take control of the situation and address the issues head-on. First, I called Emily. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I needed to talk to her to understand her perspective. The conversation started off tense. Emily was defensive and accusatory, accusing me of being selfish and unsupportive. "I can't believe you wouldn't help me," she said, her voice cold. "You know how much this means to me." I took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "Emily, I want to help you, but I don't think this film opportunity is legitimate. I think you're being taken advantage of." "You don't know anything about it," she retorted. "You're just jealous because you're afraid of taking risks." "That's not true," I said. "I'm just worried about you. I don't want you to lose your money. I want you to be happy, but I don't want to see you get scammed." The conversation went on for hours, with both of us expressing our feelings and frustrations. Eventually, we reached a point of understanding. Emily admitted that she was scared and desperate, and that she might have been blinded by her desire to succeed. I promised to help her research the film opportunity, to make sure it was legitimate. I also offered to help her find other ways to finance her acting career, perhaps through grants or crowdfunding. Emily thanked me, her voice filled with gratitude. "I'm sorry for being so awful to you, Grace," she said. "I was just really stressed out, and I took it out on you." "It's okay," I said. "I understand. I love you, Emily." "I love you too, Grace," she replied. Talking to Emily was a huge relief. It felt good to clear the air and to rebuild our relationship. Next, I decided to confront my mother. This was going to be even more difficult than talking to Emily, but I knew it was necessary. I called her, and she reluctantly agreed to meet me for coffee. When I arrived at the cafe, she was sitting at a table, her face pale and drawn. "Grace, I don't know what to say," she said, her voice barely audible. "I'm so sorry for what happened at the engagement party. I was out of line." I sat down across from her, my heart pounding. "Why did you do it, Mom?" I asked. "Why did you slap me?" I paused. "Have you always hated me?" My mother's eyes welled up with tears. "Oh, Grace, I don't hate you. I love you very much. This has nothing to do with you," she cried, gently grabbing my hand. "Then why do you always take Emily's side?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Why do you always make me feel like I'm not good enough?" My mother sighed, her face etched with pain. "It's not that I think you're not good enough, Grace. It's just that I worry about Emily. She's always been so vulnerable, so sensitive, so easily hurt. You're so strong, so independent, so capable. I always knew you'd be okay." I focused all my energy on Emily because I thought she needed it more. Her words stung, but they also made sense. I had always known that my mother favored Emily, but I had never understood why. Now I realized that it wasn't because she loved me less, but because she thought I needed her less. "Mom, I understand that you worry about Emily, but you can't keep enabling her," I said. "She needs to learn to take responsibility for her own life. And you can't keep punishing me for being successful. I've worked hard for everything I've achieved." My mother nodded, her eyes filled with remorse. "You're right, Grace," she said. "I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm so sorry for hurting you. I promise I'll try to do better." I reached across the table and took her hand. "I forgive you, Mom," I said. "I love you, too." The conversation with my mother was cathartic. It felt good to finally express my feelings, and to have her acknowledge my pain. I knew that our relationship wouldn't be perfect overnight, but I was hopeful that we could rebuild it on a foundation of honesty and understanding. After talking to my mother and Emily, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I was finally able to focus on my wedding, on celebrating my love with David. We decided to downsize the wedding, opting for a smaller, more intimate ceremony with close family and friends. We realized that the most important thing was not the size of the wedding, but the love we shared. We canceled the reservation at the expensive vineyard, and instead booked a charming bed and breakfast in the countryside. We simplified the decorations, the flowers, and the menu. We focused on creating a warm, welcoming atmosphere where our guests could relax and enjoy themselves. David and I worked together to plan every detail of the wedding. We spent hours poring over Pinterest boards, dreaming up creative and affordable ways to make our wedding special. We made our own invitations, designed our own decorations, and even baked our own wedding cake. The wedding was everything we had hoped for and more. It was a beautiful, intimate celebration of our love. We exchanged vows under a canopy of trees, surrounded by our closest family and friends. We danced the night away under the stars, our hearts filled with joy. My mother and Emily both attended the wedding. They were both incredibly supportive and loving. My mother apologized again for her behavior at the engagement party, and Emily expressed her gratitude for my help and support. As I looked around at our guests, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. I had been through a lot in the past few months, but I had emerged stronger and more resilient. I had learned the importance of communication, forgiveness, and self-love. I had also learned that family, while complicated, is ultimately the most important thing in the world. Despite the challenges we had faced, we had managed to come together and support each other. And that, I realized, was something worth celebrating. The slap at my engagement party was a painful and humiliating experience. But it was also a turning point in my life. It forced me to confront my own insecurities, to set boundaries, and to prioritize my own happiness. In the end, the slap didn't ruin my wedding. It made it even more meaningful. It taught me that love, forgiveness, and resilience are the keys to a happy and fulfilling life. And that, I realized, was a lesson worth learning. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe for more awesome stories.